Okay, so thank you all of you for joining, and it's a whole week of content. Today is we've got something like 5 sessions, I think. Tomorrow we've got 5 or 6 sessions, and the reason that Boyan is messaging me is because he was going to be on later today, and now he's going to be on tomorrow, and he's publicised it and all the rest of it for tomorrow. So he's just panicking a little bit, but I see there as we speak they're editing the schedule. And for those of you that are new to this, and I'm sure there are some people out there who don't know who I am. Um, the uh, the job that I have, or the role that I have, is I'm the Embarcadero developer advocate. My name is Ian Barker, and what does that mean? Well, I basically, my job is to talk people through the product and explain the benefits, the pros and cons of using it, and basically interface with other developers. And I am a developer. I get up every day and I write code. I still do that, and explain the benefits of Embarcadero products. This week, we will not be focusing just on Embarcadero products. We will actually be covering other people's products, and mainly because some of these things are specialized AI vertical markets. But if you've got any questions about our products, and you've got any, little things you wanted to let us know, maybe you've got a really good suggestion for something we can put in the product that features AI, then feel free to email me. You can email me, and please do, at ian.barker@embarcadero.com. And I'll usually reply within the hour, and usually same day or the next day, depending. I do actually have to sleep at some point. So, I can't always guarantee I'll get back to you very quickly. If you want to read about me, go to about.me/Ian Barker. I've had a very varied life, and I get on with lots of things. Um, Jimmy Arian says, human writing code. Yes, I am a human still. And this week is the AI Codecamp. And what do we mean by that? Well, we're going to learn about the various AI offerings that there are. Today, we're going to cover some aspects of AI. I think we've got one session by Dion that's going to talk about, all you need to know about starting to use AI. During the week, we've got some people who are very pro AI, shall we say, in that they already use it in their business practices, and they are very keen on AI, and they think it is absolutely the answer to everything. And some other people are going to join who are the exact opposite. They are people that think that AI is not a very good idea at all, or they are cautious about it. And so they will be appearing and letting us know about that position as well. We want to hear all sides, not just our own side. Just so that we know we're giving you the full answer. Ahmed says, any prerequisite for this AI course? It's not really a course as much. You will learn stuff, and there will be people showing it, but no, there's no prerequisites. Turn up and listen. And by the way, for those of you that can't listen to all of the sessions that we've got, they are going to be recorded, and you can go to our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/ at Embarcadero Tech. I will put that up later as a link, but you can catch everything that we're talking about on the replays, and we'll make sure they're on our blogs and things like that. So this is what things look like nowadays. The kind of shadow of AI. Shadow is not quite the right word, but AI is looming large. It is the flavor of the month. It is the technology of the moment. And unless you're living under a rock, you've bumped into AI sooner or later. And one of the key features that I think people are really focusing on is how AI can help them with coding. And coding is it's one of those activities where, I don't know, I've always thought it's a mixture between art and science. I've been a software developer for 40 plus years, actually over 40 years. And when I first started, I learned everything about the hardware, not just how to code, but you had to know how the hardware worked to leverage the best things to make the system do more than it should. Nowadays, coding's got to the point where actually you don't need to know anything about hardware. And in fact, it's not uncommon for you to meet software developers who are really useless when it comes to hardware and don't know anything about it. That's fine. That's the way the world is now. We don't have to build our own PCs anymore. And so coding has become more of a kind of abstract thing away from the constraints of the hardware. But still, it is very much a creative activity, or it was. And the whole thing about writing software is that you know someone will give you a specification that will tell you what the program is supposed to do, and that's a very relevant point when we come to talk about AI in a moment. But someone will say, "I need an app that does this." And they will quite often, if you work in a professional software house or you're a professional consultant, you'll have a spec, which is a specification that tells you everything the app's supposed to do, from a broad brushstroke drawing about, hey, the app should look like this, and we want it to do this, and we want it to collect this information, and we want it to be, our target audience should be that. And that's still very much the thing that happens in most places. If it's your own app, then you probably sat down with some pieces of paper or a whiteboard, or even just sketch something out digitally on your computer, which is how most people do it nowadays. And you've at least got the broad brushstrokes of what you want your app or your application or your website to do. And that will be, I want a website that does this, or I want an app that does this. And it's still the same principle. You're really telling yourself, laying out those ideas. And then typically, if you're in a software house, someone will allocate parts of that design or that idea or that spec and say, you go off and do this part, you go off and do that part, and another person go off and do this part. And quite often there'll be someone who specializes in the user interface and someone else who works on the back end, and goes from there. Jeff, go to sleep. Yeah. And that is how it's always been for probably 30 or more years. Maybe not in the first few decades of software development, because it was still very much a science. In fact, when I first started coding professionally, we used to wear white coats, lab coats, like we were pharmacists. And the reason was that the computer equipment was extremely expensive, and if you went into the computer room, they were paranoid about you getting it dirty and things like that. And I don't know, I think they just thought it would make us look like scientists. That very quickly went away, luckily. And within about a month of me first starting, they uh, decided that that wasn't necessary. But I was working in COBOL, and we wrote our programs out on coding sheets. I mean, by hand, with a pen, actually a pencil on a piece of paper. You can't get much more old-fashioned and basic, and than that. And that was a couple of months. I really thought, oh my gosh, this is not what I thought programming would be. And then they introduced some terminals, some dumb terminals, and people like me, the youngsters, because I was very young at the time, under 20, we excelled because we could type, and we could type fast. I could touch type. By the age of 11, I was able to type very efficiently. But the older guys who'd been writing COBOL programs for years and years suddenly became obsolete because they couldn't type, and they had to learn to type. And it wasn't really something that was, they knew it was coming, but it was a surprise. And eventually the youngsters like me, we basically overtook them. And we were not as good at the language itself, but we were up and coming. We had dynamic new ideas, and we could type code very, very quickly. And it cut out the middleman or the middle women, because there used to be a typing pool that would type the programs in. So you'd write your COBOL coding sheets out by hand. You would hand them off to someone who would type them into the computer, because there was only a couple of terminals, and go from there. Why has my camera suddenly appeared? Disappeared again. And yeah, this was something that you did. You type these programs in, with the typist. Us young whippersnappers came along and overtook it. And I think that the next stage on from that was the personal computer, because I was there for the IBM PC being released. Yes, I am that old. And it was obvious with the Mac and the IBM PC that um, it was a big new thing. The PC was going to go from being in a room where you were not allowed to touch it because it was worth hundreds of thousands of dollars or pounds, down to something that would sit on your desk. It still cost, the PC cost a couple of thousand back in those days, which was a couple of months salary actually, at that stage. And that really innovated things. And Edwin says, "Yep, did many years of COBOL. Micro COBOL used to be a great product." Yeah, I totally agree. And anyway, the next stage on from that, of course, was the internet. And I remember being shown ADSL, which was the thing that overtook the dial-up internet, and I was amazed that it could do 500K down, I think it was, or something like that. It was mind-bendingly fast. Nowadays, I'm talking to you on a 2.5 gigabyte fiber connection, synchronous. That means it goes up, uh, and yes, the presentation is still blank. Up 2.5 gig and down 2.5 gig. So it was a pretty, um, sea change. And now, of course, the next stage on is AI. And I really think that AI is as important as the fact that we can now have these dumb terminals that we all typed on, the fact that we can now have IBM PCs on our desktop, the fact that we can have dial-up internet as it was, and so the internet became ubiquitous. And then the thing that came about was obviously fiber, always-on connections, and now it's AI. And I think it's as important a moment for that. So that's where I stand in terms of what I think of the importance of it. The other stage is that I'm also skeptical as well, because I think there's a lot of money in that. I'm going to talk about that in a moment. That is willing it to succeed, which is a good thing, but it also means there's a lot of nonsense going on. So let's talk about today's sessions. So today's sessions, the opening session is now, and really it's just me covering what's happening, and plus to put up a few quotes from a few famous people, and explain my point of view on it. Then at 11 o'clock, which is about half an hour from now, we're going to have Yilmaz, who is going to talk about artificial neural networks in C++ Builder. And Yilmaz has been doing artificial intelligence, AI, for many years, and I mean decades. He was way ahead of the curve long before OpenAI and all those people came and queued up. Now, the next session after that is by Dion Mai, and Dion is going to do a session called "What Do You Need to Know to Start Using AI?" I'm not sure what that context of that session is, because I haven't had time to review it. But Dion is a great presenter. In fact, I think he's doing 3 sessions this week, and he's always got a lot to say. And then at 1 p.m., we're actually not going to have the session that we've say there. At the moment, we've got this session that says implementing your own edge with AI with Delphi. We're not going to do that. We're going to do a different session, and tomorrow is going to be the implementing your own edge AI with Delphi instead. So later on, our session is going to be one from Yellowfin, I believe. And then the final session today at 2 p.m., bearing in mind today, right now, it's 10:27 p.m., is how to recreate $1 trillion company's AI tool in your lunch break. And I'm not joking. I am serious. You could recreate a very well-known AI tool in your lunch break, and I'm going to show you how to do it. So stick around for that session. It's not hype. You will have used this AI tool and probably not realized it's AI, and I'm going to show you how to do it. Hello, Steve from Sherman. Very, very good to hear from you. Local almost. So let's talk about a couple of people who've got, as they say, skin in the game. Sundar Pichai, who is the CEO of Alphabet, or better known as Google. Rick says Yellowfin has some good NLQ stuff. Yes, they are. That's the session that's coming up later, Rick, at 1 p.m. And Sundar Pichai, now there's a man who's spent many billions trying to get AI going in Google. And you'll notice your Google search now does mention AI quite profoundly. But he says artificial intelligence will have a more profound impact on humanity than fire, electricity, and the internet. I think he's being a bit dramatic there, because I think that fire and electricity probably had a big, profound impact on humanity. But I think, yeah, AI is probably going to outstrip the usefulness of the internet. The internet has really changed the world for good and for bad. Nowadays, we can find out that there are people out there who've got views that we absolutely find repugnant, but we can also find people that have got views that we completely agree with. And that's the benefit of the internet. Made the world smaller, and sometimes that's a good thing, and sometimes that's a bad thing. But that's some of the pitch I from Google. Yeah, exactly. I agree, Fabio. Too much drama. AI will affect every product and every service that we have. Well, that's interesting that Tim Cook says that because I would say right now, uh, and I do love Apple products. I've got a Mac sitting to my right there, and I've got an Apple Watch on, and I've got an Apple iPhone as well, and I've got an Android. But I would think that Apple really they're lagging behind a little bit, and Fabio says Google's a little bit behind as well, and I think that's true. I think that really Microsoft did a very good job when they poured a whole ton of billions into the OpenAI project, and really they I think they wrong-footed some of these big companies. Good move by Microsoft, not so great move by the others, but they're catching up. And of course, the wonderful Elon Musk, who is always good for a great quote, and love him or hate him. I mean, the guy did create, the world's first kind of useful electric car, sports car, really, and also wants to put people on Mars. And I suspect he may achieve that. He's got a reusable rocket. And ironically, he also is the chairman, CEO of X.ai, which is, Grok, I think, is one of their things that comes out in X. But he's kind of really, mark my words, AI, artificial intelligence, is far more dangerous than nukes. What? Oh, okay. And I think that is an interesting position to take for someone who actually believes that AI is also the thing that will, um, release the world from their chains. I think that's the way you would put it. Very interesting. But three fairly sort of pro or um, at least positive statements there from the leaders really in technology, and they lead us all. And I did ask Google, because why not? And this is their AI overview, ironically, how much money is being invested in AI? And Radu is asking if we have Bruno Friends these days with a session about the new TMS FNC. Yes, we do, Radu. He's up later this week. Yeah, so I asked it how much money is being invested, and it was actually horrifying that it said the global AI market has reached $638 billion US dollars in 2024. That is that's pretty much an earthquake, I think, in terms of how much money is being in there. I don't know of any other industry that has grown so fast and so far in such a short period of time. 638 billion. I actually think that number is probably well out of date, and I think that you know 2025 figure there, that's a conservative estimate, 757 billion. I think it's going to be bigger than that, honestly. I think AI is really, it's a massive balloon, and there are going to be a lot of people that are going to put a lot of money into some things, and only the fittest will survive. and I think a lot of people are going to lose a lot of money, and a lot of people are going to make money. It is the new frontier. It is important. At Embarcadero, we definitely believe it's important. We think that it's something you can't ignore, but also we want to be realistic about it. We do not have the $6.5 billion investment that Microsoft had in OpenAI. That's how much money Microsoft committed to AI 2 years ago. 6.5 billion. They've probably invested as much again in that. And same with Google, billions of dollars put into it. Same with Meta or Facebook, billions of dollars put into it. So when they tell you that AI is the next big thing, you have to remember that they've got billions of dollars riding on that gamble that AI will be the next big thing. When we talk about AI being the next big thing, we don't have billions of dollars invested in it. We are investing in development in the AI space. It's no secret that we've already put some AI into the product, and we will continue with that. But we will always be on your side because that's our unique position. We don't have to justify to a board of investors um, a big $6.5 billion investment where they're going, okay, we put all this money into AI. Where's the return on it? That's the problem that Google and Microsoft have, that they need to justify that investment. And so I'm not saying they're going to lie to you, and I'm not saying that they're going to give you something no good. But at the same time, you have to remember that for them, they have to make it succeed. And not only that, they have to make you use it and consume it. And even more importantly, they've got to make money out of it. They've got to make at least $6.5 billion minimum just to break even on their investment. Just to break even, they've got to make 6.5 billion. That's the earth-shattering amount of money to spend. Now, okay, they've got billions of dollars in the bank, and they can afford to do that. But even so, $6.5 billion, that's still a big investment. We're not doing that. So when we talk about AI, we don't have that kind of balloon behind us pushing us in the direction. We're choosing to do things that we think uh, our users want to do. There are some things that look like AI, but actually aren't. And one of them is Shazam. Now, if you don't know what Shazam is, and I'm surprised, Shazam is the app where, let's say, you're in a pub or a bar or in an elevator, and you hear this music come on, even in a grocery store, and you're like, "Oh, who wrote this song?" And you can click on a button, and you can ask Shazam, and actually it's built into Android phones for Samsung and a few other things as well. And I think Apple uses Shazam as well in the background. And you can ask it, and it listens to a couple of seconds of the song. I mean, maybe 10, 15 seconds. And it will come back and it'll tell you not only what the song is, but it will show you who wrote the song, who played it, what year it was, what version of the song it is, because it could be that it's a cover version or it's something else, and it will tell you that. And Shazam has always looked like it's artificial intelligence, but actually it's not. It actually uses a very clever set of filters, and I think that detects the maximum amplitude of the sound spectrum. So it creates one of those cool, graphical spectrums, and then it takes the peaks and the troughs in that spectrum and creates a fingerprint out of it, and then does a very clever search on a massive database of that fingerprint. It is not AI. And Jeff says Apple owns it now. Yep, I didn't know that, but that wouldn't surprise me. Now, I got this information from Shazam themselves and partly from AI searches as well. But Shazam, yeah, not AI. Looks like it, but it never has been. And maybe one day it will be, and they'll do something else like invent a song that sounds like, and it'll do something like that. If you've ever watched Axis of Awesome, they do a four-chord song, and they show that nearly all popular pop music is made up of four chords, and it's quite funny. So there you go. Other things that look like AI but are not, online dating. And Match.com, which is probably one of the most well-known ones. And yes, you can laugh at my online dating robots. which I thought was funny. But Match.com, they actually say that only 20% of their users receive AI generated prompts for meeting their match. Only 20% of them choose to revise their messages. So it is possible, and I hasten to add, I'm not on Match.com, but I try to find some places that look like AI aren't. But it would appear that the prompts where hey, I'm young, free, and single, and I like poetry, and I enjoy fire juggling or something. Um, they're offering AI to help prompt your profile, but actually 80% of people, the prompts that you see on there, the profiles that are created by humans, so they're not AI prompts at the moment. Now I think that's going to gradually move forwards, and once people become more comfortable with AI, then we're probably going to see a lot more of hey, I created this profile for you, and it's going to sound so awesome. You're going to go, yeah, I'll do that. But no, Match.com at the moment, I say 20% of people just don't take them up on the offer of AI. So, these kind of things. There's lots of other systems that are also not AI, but those are the two sort of big ones. And actually, some AI should be called AU, as in artificially unintelligent. When I was creating this set of slides, I thought, you know what, it would be daft if I'm going to be doing an AI presentation, not to use AI to create the slides. Now, internally in Embarcadero and Idera, we do use AI for some things. Some of the graphics that you see me create are created by AI. Lots of logos and things like that I use are created by AI. We do have a graphic designer. In fact, we have multiple graphic designers, but the one that I deal mostly with is actually a real human, and only he can tell you if he generates things with AI. I'm going to guess he does. And Idea as a company are quite keen for you to leverage AI. The articles that you see in our blogs, they are sometimes scored for what they call search engine optimization using AI, but most of them are still written by humans. Although we've got a couple that have been augmented by AI, shall we say. But as a professional writer myself and a professional poet, I would prefer to do things the human way. Right now, AI doesn't quite get up to the mark. And an example really here are these slides that I got back when I used Microsoft's PowerPoint built-in AI and said, create me a PowerPoint about AI. And I gave it a long, detailed prompt, and the slides were dire. And I mean, really, really poor. And it really didn't give you any insights into AI. All it really did was regurgitate some trite phrases about, well, AI can be used in automated testing and AI can be used in automated debugging. Great, but he never told you how to do that. What's the point? If all it's going to do is just give you the headline, but not give you the actual details, then it's absolutely pointless. And that's really what came back. The other thing, as you can see from those thumbnails, that I didn't make them that big, but you can see that it the backgrounds it was not as good as a human. Those are not readable by humans. If you were to score, excuse me, the bottom two images, so the one that's got the word background and current trends in it, and the other one that says definition overview of AI, I would say that they are not human readable, and the contrast is no good. The font is not very readable, and from a distance, that font is just useless. The small details font. So artificially unintelligent, I think I would call that, and not at all helpful. It didn't even give me a standing start on the slides that I produced. So yeah, not so great. Not a good start really. But that is a narrow use case. There are plenty of use cases out there where AI does do a good job. And an example is from my predecessor in this role, David I. He was the predecessor's predecessor, but David I is the guy that originally did my job as a developer advocate. In fact, he basically invented the idea of developer relations and developer advocacy. Fabiano says natural dumb. Yes, I think so. Yeah, but David, um, he's reached an age where he's semi-retired, as he says, and yeah, this is what David I did. This is the original image, and I told David, "Oh, by the way, I'm going to the Delphi Summit, and I'm going to go on the stage dressed up as you." So I got a fake beard and I got a fake uh, hair because I'm bald and David isn't, and I got a T-shirt similar to his, and I went on as David AI. But when I told him that, I said, "I just want to check, it's okay before I do that because I don't want to, accidentally insult you." He came back and said, "Yeah, absolutely fine with that," and then he sent me this. Awesome. He used AI to do that. The AI that he used was let's see if I can get it come up. He used Copilot to create this, and then he also yes, 49.95. Yeah, that was in 1996. Um, yeah, he took the original image and just said to the OpenAI, "Can you can you whoops, can you recreate this in the style of Up, the Pixar movie," which it did. He also created a movie which I'll show you in a moment because I can't show you it whilst I'm sharing my screen. But he went on to actually use a thing called Hedera AI to animate this image. So not only did he take that original slide, which looks like this, and then told it to create him an image like this. But he then went on to animate it as well, which I'll show you. But quite an amazing thing, really, because I would say that's better than a graphic designer can do in many hours. And I'm guessing it only took him a couple of minutes to do that with Copilot. And of course, the thing that's going on is the big topic is that everybody's talking about AI and everybody's become an expert. And I make it quite clear I don't consider myself an expert, but the whole world is talking about AI. And even the BBC Channel Island leaders discuss AI at the summit. AI powered customer success. Gainsight, I'm not even sure they are, but it was just one of the examples that came up. And then Google searches, yeah, lots of stuff came up. And what's interesting about that is some of the things that I picked up from the AI Google search was this, for example, that thousands, according to the Guardian, which is usually a fairly good newspaper in the UK, thousands of UK university students were caught cheating using AI. Well, I would say the problem with that is how were they using the AI? Because if they were using AI to augment their skills, then all they've really done is do what they're going to do when they go out and get a job. Because it's like anything. If you have an open book exam where you are allowed to have your coursework book in front of you, and you can use that as a aid to your memory, are you cheating because you're looking at the book? No, I don't think so. Because it requires you still to give good answers. And the same with the AI. I think if you're using it to create some icons or graphics or help improve your grammar in something, but what you produce is good quality work, and as long as it's original and you've done it properly, are you cheating or are you just doing what you're going to do probably when you leave university and start your job? I don't know. I personally, I think I would not be surprised to be marked down and be told I was cheating, but I think the reality is a little bit more nuanced than that. I think this is also going to be a problem going forwards, that lots and lots of people are going to use AI to help them do things. There are glasses out there, sunglasses and normal glasses from Meta and Ray-Ban and a few others that can talk to you silently. Nobody else can hear it, and also broadcast messages and prompts on your glasses that only you can see. Now, that means that if you're having a conversation with someone, you could be getting the AI to help you but with background information about them, or if you're negotiating something, the AI could be telling you what to do with the negotiation to get the best results. It's a problem, but it's not a problem. That's the way the world's going to be. The other thing that I thought was interesting was Mark Andreessen, or Mark Andreessen. I can't say that word, but anyway, a very well-known venture capitalist in Silicon Valley, and he's saying that the AI race is between the US and China, and it resembles the Cold War. Well, I think that's probably true, and I think I don't know whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, whether they will come up with some worldwide rules about AI or not, I don't know. It was easy with nuclear proliferation because it was a clear and present danger. You could see the other side were testing bombs, and you were like, wow, that bomb is massive, and it would wipe out the whole of Chicago. And China would go, oh, my word, that's a massive bomb that the Americans have just launched, and that would get rid of Nanjing or somewhere like that. And you know, I think it was an obvious threat. AI is more subtle, and I think that's going to be a problem. So Cold War, yes, but how are we going to police that? Who knows? And then, of course, you get these clickbait things. Now, Yahoo Finance, I don't want to diss them too much, but on Windows 11, you can get these prompts that come up that like automated news. You get them on Samsung Galaxy phones. I turn them all off. And the reason is you get this kind of stuff. And Yahoo back in the day was an amazing company in terms of what it offered, but they seem to have, I don't know, it seemed to be heading towards clickbait, and I'm sure that's probably not true of the company, but yeah. And Maxi Donkey says not only in the UK are there problems with people using AI, but here too. And he's based in France. The students sometimes try to use LLMs in strange ways with very unlikely results. Yes, this is the problem, and we're going to talk about that later as well. Which is that the problem with AI is it can be a very plausible idiot. If you get someone to you'll hire a intern, a newly qualified student, a computer science student, or software development student, and you give them a job to do and say, right, I want you to create a login page for me, or something like that. When you look at their code is quite often naive, and what I mean is that they haven't had experience to write it better, but what they write is very good. But you can see lots of telltale signs that that they're not particularly experienced, which is fine. And if they get it wrong, it's usually you can spot the wrong thing right away. Like, oh, you did that? No, that won't work. The problem with AI is that it is like an intern at the moment. You tend to get it to help you do things, in the sense that you get it to help you write some code, or help you design a screen, or help you convert something from one thing to another, or even write an article. But the problem is it's very, very plausible, but it does have things called hallucinations. Hallucination is where it basically makes stuff up that isn't true. Now, that's bad enough when it's making something up about billionaires selling Nvidia stock. And I'm not saying that this story is made up, but let's say it is, and the AI has just surmised the fact and thinks that's what it is, but it's not true. If it does that in code, the trouble is the code often has been created using very good code that it's learnt on, it's been trained on. And what happens is that the code that it creates is very plausible. It doesn't show those elements of naivety or beginners bad luck, or bad structure where they're still learning to develop a style and the rest of it. It is actually very plausible. And then that's when things start to go wrong. And one of the things we're going to talk about this week is getting automation to check the quality of the code and actually check the security of it. Because if as someone told me, someone said, Oh, our guys are generating 80% of their code is AI generated, and they're now writing thousands of lines a month, tens of thousands of lines a month, and it's with AI. Well, that's great, except if you're now 10 times more productive in terms of how much code you're producing, you also need to be 10 times or more productive in detecting bad quality in that code that's generated and bad quality in terms of security. And we've actually got some people on this week who are going to talk about that. And we've got some sessions that have been recorded about automating testing with AI and detecting those kind of horrible things that, they look good, but it's only once you go through it. Because, like I say, if you're producing 10 times the code with automation, you've either got to work 10 times harder to check it all, or you've got to have something that's capable of doing 10 times the output in terms of automated testing and stuff like that. So that's the downside of this kind of thing. And like I say, you're going to see more and more of these kind of generated headlines and clickbait because the AI is going to learn what triggers you, learn what makes you click on the headlines. And it's a horrible world we're going to live in because it's going to be full of nonsense like that headline. I mean, no disrespect to Yahoo Finance, but I think that headline is nonsense. I'm sure they put plenty of sound journalistic integrity into it, so I apologise. It just, to me, it looks like it's nonsense, but perhaps in their article they go into more detail. And finally, let's also talk about what tools are out there. Every day there seems to be a new AI tool. The big ones are obviously things like the Copilot, which everybody's used. You've got Claude, which is very, very good with Delphi code. So I'm told a lot of people swear by Claude and say it's fantastic, especially the more expensive paid options come up with some very good plausible code. I spoke to someone last week who said that it's just changed the game for them. Claude. Gemini, I personally like Gemini. I'm using Gemini at the moment. You'll see that all of them are saying good morning, Ian. Copilot just wasn't signed into that, and the other one, which is the Llama, I'm not signed into that as well. But again, lots of people have saying that they've had a lot of success with Llama. But these are probably the four big players. But there are IDEs out there that use nothing but AI, and Cursor.ai is one of them. But there's plenty of others that I've been calling it something else now, like Light Sail or something. I forget what it is, but lots and lots of people jumping on the bandwagon saying, "Hey, we can do AI." Now, as I said earlier, just remember how much money some of these people have got at stake if they don't succeed. So in some ways, it's a good thing because they put so much money into it that they have to succeed. They have to succeed because they put billions into it. But also, at the same time, they need you to use that product, so they're making use of your product. We put AI into Rad Studio as well, but I can't emphasize enough about we don't have 6.5 billion to invest in the first place. But even if we could persuade someone to give us that money, we would probably not, sorry, a comment distracted me there. Someone's saying Rick, but we probably wouldn't go down that route anyway because of the way we do things. We are trying to be on your side. So the AI features we've put in so far, and we're still adding more, and we're still working on it. They're all turned off by default. Now, that's not true of most of the other systems out there. They're all turned on by default, but we turn ours off, and we also give you the opportunity to choose which AI model you want. So Llama, Gemini, Claude, and ChatGPT are the ones. But we've tried to include the AI in ways that work, or we think that work, in a way that you'll understand. We're still doing more. There's much more we can do, certainly in terms of allowing your apps to include AI in them and manipulate the apps using MCP and a few other technologies you're going to learn about this week. But it's a lot going on, and finally, because we're nearly at the end, if you're going to get it, which is the package manager, so go into tools in the IDE and then get it package manager, there are many, many, many offerings of AI stuff you can put in your programs or insert into the IDE. Maxi Donkey, who keeps commenting on the chat at the moment, he's done several, and he's a very ironically, he described himself as not a Delphi guy, which I don't know why he says that, because he's probably created more add-ons than anybody else, but he is very much a champion of it. But just about every type of AI you could want is there. And I took this screenshot yesterday, I think, or actually maybe earlier on today. It's all blended into one, but there's a lot going on. DeepSeek, Mistral, Anthropic. There's tons and tons of things. OpenAI and Grok, Hugging Face, Stability AI, Maker AI. There's just so many. It's untrue. But some of these are going to be shown this week. FB4D, which is by Christoph Schneider. He's going to do a whole session on that, and that's mostly free. I'm also going to show you an AI thing later on today that will blow your mind, I hope. And you go, oh, I didn't know you could do that. But yes, you can do that with Delphi. And by the way, you can do it for free. But anyway, that's my roundup of what's going on. I'm going to stop sharing and go back to me. Turn me on like that and back here. So that's where we're at in terms of I need to close that so that everything's back to normal. That's where we are in terms of try to change the audio on your speaker. Yes, someone's saying there that are not having sound, but everybody else is saying the sound is good. One thing I wanted to show you before we go further, do you remember this picture, the David AI one? It was based on this, and then he got Copilot to create this. Well, he went a little bit further, because what he actually did was then went on to produce a video using Hedera AI. So this is David AI using AI.
Delphi is awesome because of its combination of modern object Pascal.
Wait a minute. Let's do it this way instead. Okay, you won't be able to hear me whilst this is on, because that clipped the video.
Delphi is awesome because of its combination of modern object Pascal, visual components, database access, multi-platform targeting, high-speed native code compiler, and an active global community.
Now, isn't that amazing? And that is all completely automated. So that came from Copilot, and that came originally from this image. So he basically created the whole thing, including the video from that image, all using AI. The guy's a legend.